Hey y'all, welcome to the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. I am your host, Anita Santiago. Please like, subscribe, and follow the podcast. Leave a review too if you can on all the major platforms. And if you'd like to reach out to me directly by email, you can reach me at convoscws@gmail.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in the room. Come on in the room, fans, followers, and supporters. Every February, I try to do at least one topic on relationships. And so today, we're talking about love versus compatibility. People get really shocked when I make the statement that you can be totally in love and totally incompatible. What does that mean? That means that love and compatibility are two separate things, and often we don't consider compatibility when we're thinking about relationships, entering a relationship, or whether we continue with a relationship. So today I want to kind of cover that topic and give you something to think about. So let's get into it. Love is love. And it's a beautiful thing to be in love. It's a beautiful thing to be loved. But let's break it down a little bit more. Love is an emotional bond. It is the emotional connection that you build with someone. It's the feeling. Love is the feeling. Compatibility, on the other hand, is the function. How do we interact together? How do we work together? How do we move together? Now, I've done some past episodes on relationships, and you can check those out where I talk about the shared space. In relationships, you have two individuals and you also have a shared space, and that shared space is where the coming together happens. Compatibility is how you operate in the shared space, really. And this is something that I think we really need to understand and take a moment to examine. You can love someone with all of your heart. I mean, you can love them with everything you have and still be functionally incompatible. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the love that you have for that person or the love that they have for you. But what it means is that from a perspective of working together, as hard as you try, if you're incompatible, you're not going to be able to work together. Now, some people would argue, well, if I just hang in there, I learn them, they learn me, we can make it work. In that scenario, you have compatibility, because if you don't have compatibility, nothing that you do is going to make it work. So I want to go over what I think are 5 factors for long-term compatibility that we need to think about when we're considering getting into or staying in a relationship. Number one, values. Do our values align? This is a big one. And in my work as a therapist, sometimes doing couples therapy, you can see how different value systems can lead to problems. It doesn't mean that you have to have the same values, but this is an example of how values can cause people to be incompatible. Let's say you're a free spirit. You like to go with the flow. Let's get on the road. Spontaneous, not a planner. And you're involved with someone who is a planner, who likes predictability and stability. Love by itself won't bridge the gap in the differences in the way you see life, in the way you live life. So when it comes to core values, you may value family and you may be involved with someone that says, family ain't all that to me. You're trying to convince them to be a family person. They're trying to convince you it's not that important. Yeah, that is a area of friction. You may be a person that has a substantial career or wants a substantial career. The person you're involved with may really value traditional gender roles. That could be problematic, because in and of itself, love won't fix that. Love won't fix a different way of looking at life. So when you're considering compatibility in the relationship, do our values align? They don't have to be exactly the same, but do they align? Do I value what you value? Do do I have an appreciation for why you value what you value? So, core values number 1. Number 2, this is another big one. Conflict resolution styles. So, how do you work through the hard things? How do you work through conflict? Every relationship has periods of conflict. There's going to be conflict. And it's not about the fight, it's about how you work through it. There are some people who literally have to take a moment, 2 or 3 days. They're processing. They can't address that thing in the moment. They may be involved with a person that wants to talk about it right now. Let's talk about it right now. That makes it hard to get to a resolution because now you're adding additional frustration to a conflict. I think in order to be compatible in conflict resolution, there has to be a commonality in how you resolve conflict, meaning that I might be a yeller, you might completely go silent, but we both have agreed at the beginning of this relationship when we have conflict that we're going to address it before the sun sets so that we're not carrying things into the evening. That would be a way of saying that you have a shared commonality for resolving conflict. There should be rules about how you're going to resolve conflict in your relationship. And that will tell you a lot about your styles. As you discuss, what's the best way for us uh, as partners to move through hard times, hard things. You may agree to not curse if you're having a difficult conversation. I won't use any curse words. You won't use any curse words. That means that there is a common respect for each other, that we need to talk about this without adding additional anger and frustration. So again, conflict resolution styles can be different, and they can cause you to be incompatible. One of the number one areas that partners and couples have challenges in is financial matters. And again, this comes down to alignment. If my financial philosophy is every time I get paid, I'm going to buy myself something cool, something expensive, I'm going to get what I want, I'm a spender, and I'm involved with a person who values saving and building over the long term, man, oh man, oh man, that's a problem. And you hear this sometimes when people are discussing their partner, and I don't understand why she's buying on Amazon so much, and I don't understand why he's saving every single penny. He doesn't know how to have fun or spend money. Many people, when they enter relationships, do not discuss what their financial philosophy is. Many people don't know what it is. In this economy where many people are stretched over thin, It's hard to save with things costing so much, but that's conversation that needs to be had. What's your financial philosophy? Are you a spender? Are you a saver? What are you trying to accomplish financially in the future? A comfortable retirement, a vacation home, traveling the world? What is it? Again, financial matters are a big, big, big place where people find themselves incompatible, and you really need to understand your person's financial philosophy when it comes to this relationship. Another area of incompatibility is emotional intelligence and emotional availability. They kind of go hand in hand. So, what would that look like? Well, you may be a person that sees the world through emotions. You feel deeply, you feel intensely, and you may be seeing someone who's not so emotionally available. You may crave deep conversations, philosophical conversations, talking about any and everything, and that person may just not really want to get into all that because they're busy living life day to day. This can surface in relationships when people feel alone because their person doesn't get them. My partner doesn't get me. She doesn't, or he doesn't, or they don't really understand what I need and how I need it. This is a big area. Do people walk around saying, "Hey, I'm emotionally intelligent"? Not usually, but we know what it is. And to be compatible in this area, you meet each other where you are. So, meaning that I'm not demanding from you intense emotional connection if that's not what you're able to give. Remember, a person can only give what they have. They can't give what they don't have. So in this area of emotional intelligence and availability, meeting each other where you're at a similar level. So the person, you have this one person that's very intense emotionally and a person that's unavailable. So they would come up to the same level where that person is not going to turn into an emotionally deep person, but maybe they're able to be a little bit more emotional than they had been. The person who's intensely emotional may be able to come down a couple of steps and not be as emotional. We're not asking people to be who they're not, but it's like, can we meet in a middle ground if we have very different emotional ways? If we have very different ways of processing emotion, if we have very different ways of how we show up for our partners emotionally. If we use a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most intense emotionally and 1 being the least emotional, you have one person that's a 10 and one person that's a 1. What I'm saying is that both people would come up to a 5 and work from there. And that's how you can become compatible in this area. And the last area that I want to highlight that can be problematic with compatibility is social stuff, social energy, social desire. We have people that are not very social. I'm good being by myself. I don't need all the events and galas and outdoor picnics and parties and things of that nature. And then you have some people that really, really enjoy being out and about, talking, networking, and those sort of things. If you both don't enjoy the same level of social contact, energy, functioning, that can be very problematic. One person wants to stay home, watch TV, watch a movie, get a pizza. the other person wants to go out. Where we can hear this sometimes, and this is not to stereotype people, but this is a generalization. Sometimes, typically, the one partner who doesn't want to go out is comfortable not doing that, and the partner that wants to be more social feels constrained or as though they can't get what they need socially. This is a hard area because our social functioning and tolerance is usually developed by the time we're young adults. It can change as we age. We tend to not crave as much social contact as maybe when we're younger, but our core, our core functioning of being very social, moderately social, or less social is usually set by the time we're a young adult. So if you're incompatible in this area, is there room for movement? Can one person be a little bit more social and the other person be okay with staying at home and watching a movie and getting a pizza sometimes? And again, to me as a therapist, the issues of compatibility really surface when people are dug in, they're committed to their position, and they want to pull the other person over to that position. Compatibility, if the partners are working on being more compatible, requires compromise and movement to the middle ground. We hear that in relational advice all the time. Find middle ground. Where's the middle ground? Well, compatibility requires that the partners in that relationship find middle ground, and that's what we're really talking about. So Tina Turner says, her song, What's Love Got to Do with It? And I think that song was very powerful, came out in the 80s. Like some of y'all might not know that song, and I get it, but you could look it up. Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? And I think it's very powerful because the words of that song force us to look at the elements of connection beyond a bond, beyond the words, I love you. Um, are people 100% compatible? No. There is no perfectly compatible relationship. Like I said, if you're working on being more compatible, it requires compromise and movement to the middle ground. And what happens when people typically find themselves in a relationship with someone they're not compatible with is typically because one person or both people do not want to adjust in any way to move the relationship forward. And so that is something that if you've had trouble with relationships, you've had a series of difficult relationships, maybe go back and start to think, were we compatible? You may be surprised at what you find. Now, we've kind of gone over compatibility versus love. I want to give you some ideas, some questions to kind of evaluate whether or not your relationship, whether or not, okay, scratch that part, Martinez. So now that we've talked about love and compatibility, and we have a good understanding of some of the major factors that comprise compatibility, I want to give you some tools, some questions that you and your partner can sit down and discuss to see where you are on these areas of compatibility. And this will tell you a lot. When you're having these discussions, first of all, get some ground rules in there, Get some ground rules about how you're going to communicate when asking these questions. And then if you find that your perspectives are very different or on the opposite ends of the spectrum, now you can talk about how to move towards the middle so that you can be more compatible and strengthen your relationship. So, on values, regarding values, here are the two questions. Question number one: if we won the lottery tomorrow and never had to work again, how would our daily lives change? Or would we keep exactly the same? That's a great question to understand what it is that each one of you value. And the second question for you and your partner to discuss values is, what is the one negotiable for you? What is the one, okay, scratch that, Martinez. The second question that you can discuss with your partner on values is, what is the one non-negotiable for you when it comes to where we live or how we raise a family? This will let you know if what you hold dear and true when it comes to life or family is compatible with your partner. Two questions that you can discuss with your partner on conflict resolution. Question number one: when you're upset or overwhelmed, do you prefer to have space to think, or do you feel better talking it out immediately? This will let you know if you both have the same perspective when it comes to working through difficult situations. A different question or second question that you can ask regarding conflict resolution: what's the one thing I do when we disagree that makes you feel heard? What's the one thing that I do that makes you shut down? And that will let you know where you are with conflict resolution styles. On finances, a question that you and your partner can discuss: what does financial security actually look like to you? Is it a number in the bank? Is it owning property? Is it the ability to travel? Um, those are questions that kind of get to how you and your partner see finances. Another question that you can ask is, what was the money story in your house growing up? Was it a source of stress or something rarely talked about? Again, these are questions that are getting to the issue of compatibility with you and your partner. When it comes to emotional intelligence and availability, question number one: what is your love language for receiving support? Do you want solutions, a hug, or someone to vent to? This is going to give you a lot of information about your partner's love language, how they show up for you, and how you show up for them. What is a part of your inner world that you feel I haven't fully seen yet? This is sharing parts of your emotional life that your partner may not be aware of. And again, we're talking about how to assess whether you and your partner are compatible in these areas. On the social functioning side, question number one: on a scale of 1 to 10, how much alone time do you need every week to feel like yourself? That's a big one, because some people absolutely need alone and downtime. And so knowing that about your partner can help you adjust if you need to, so that you could be more compatible. A second question that you can ask, this is a real random one: what does a perfect restorative Sunday look like to you? Is it productive or is it purely restful? And again, we're talking about compatibility in the areas of social functioning and energy. You can use these questions I just outlined to have some deep conversations about compatibility and see where you are with your partner on that. You can have discussions about whether you feel you're compatible or not. And you can also go back and look at past relationships and get a better understanding of why maybe it didn't work out with that person. Maybe it wasn't that they didn't love you. Maybe you were just simply not compatible. I feel like looking at relationships from a compatibility perspective is a game changer. I think it takes away a lot of the negative self-talk and negative self-blame that many of us have when it comes to relationships that didn't work out. What do you think? I think yeah. Love is great, compatibility is great. You need both of them to have a successful relationship. You need both of them to have a successful relationship. I hope you enjoyed this topic. Thank you for stopping by the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. Don't forget to review, like, subscribe, and follow the podcast on all major platforms. And as always, if you need to email me, convoscws@gmail.com. Until we talk again, happy listening.